Welcome back to Have You Heard, the social media podcast by us here at The Social Shepherd, where we tell you everything you need to know about social if you work in digital marketing. My name is Zoe. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO here, and today I'm joined by...
Jeremy.
And you are?
I'm a social media exec.
And Adam?
I'm Adam.
Yeah.
Business director.
Lovely. Perfect. Thank you for joining. You guys have been on the podcast before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stunning. Right, we'll get straight into our updates. So we've got a lot of AI focused updates today. I just want to remind everyone. But the first update is not AI orientated, and it is around keyword targeting for TikTok search ads. So basically now, whenever you are setting up ads on TikTok, you are able to select the keywords that you want to be appearing for. So say, for example, you want to show up when people are searching hotels in this city, for example, or you want to search for white, or you want to show up when someone searches white t-shirts. So I love this. It's amazing. And we've known for ages that TikTok is taking on Google and other search platforms, obviously Google being the largest. But it really bridges the gap between social and search paid media. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
You're in organic.
I am.
So I'm going to flip this question for you.
Okay.
But what do you think about TikTok as a search platform?
I think it's a good thing because we have a lot of visual people out there. And personally for me, I use TikTok as a search engine.
Yeah.
I search a lot of things on TikTok because I like the rapidity of it and how the content is so quick. And I don't like wasting time Googling stuff or even like going through a long video on YouTube. I just like things direct, quickly done. So
what makes you think that? So what are things that you would search on TikTok that you, instead of searching on Google? What's the difference between the two of them?
I would say tutorials.
Yeah.
How to like fix things or how to do things. And recipes, food recipes.
Yeah, I go through it for like restaurant recommendations as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, actually that's good. Like if I'm going to visit a new town, definitely for things to do or like restaurants or that kind of stuff.
Nice. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts here?
Well, what, on search or just in general?
TikTok
Or
as a search platform, and how do you think it's going to impact the future of things?
I mean, it's just natural like adoption, isn't it? Like when you see it.
Evolution,
Because if
yeah.
you think about TikTok as a platform, what it was born out of, or similar at the time, like Vine, when that came, as like, so people just naturally used it. I think always used it in that way. I think always what's interesting about platforms like TikTok, where I argue that they're sometimes different in their approach to others, is it feels like they've allowed the user to almost navigate how they grow and develop and where they grow and change. And you always see it's like, oh, now Instagram is adding this feature because it's what happens on TikTok. It's almost as if they went, they were never set up to be a search engine, but that's how people were using it, because people just started creating content that was like you're saying, like here's top 5 restaurants in this city, or here's my favorite recipe, or whatever it was. And then it feels like they build the ecosystem around. So the adding of search obviously feels like a natural progression with, we've introduced ads. This is how people are using the platform. I think it just makes sense, and it's just it's a better way of doing it than trying
it
to
makes
force.
complete sense. I think it's a really good movement on their part. So I'm excited, and we will be testing that out across our clients over the next couple of weeks. So we'll let you know how that goes. Snapchat. I bloody love Snapchat, and everyone is like, you're way too old to love Snapchat, and I'm like, I don't care.
You're not, though, because I was reading some stuff on it this morning, and about platforms aging up, and it's like
It's had a massive
32-year-olds. There's a lot of
Snapchat's had such a resurgence of downloads in the last couple of weeks, and it's because their benefits for creators on the platform are so much better than other platforms, and so a lot of creators are like, on your Snap story, it's acceptable to have 50 stories a day. That's not acceptable on Instagram. I'm sorry, but you're going to get rinsed for that. But like the creators who want to share with their audiences, where they're sharing the most is on Snapchat. And that's what's driving people to it. I don't know if you guys have noticed as well, but the spotlight feature on Snapchat as well is literally TikTok.
Yeah.
Like they just copied the entire interface. But outside of that, has anyone checked out the My AI chat on Snapchat? Yeah. So basically what they have done is they've got My AI on there. So they've teamed up with Google's Gemini AI, so it's being powered through Google, to provide users with solutions and visual problems. So I played around with this earlier and I sent Snapchat a random picture of the office. I have also asked my Snapchat AI to be referred to as Sophia because I would just prefer it to be a person. If
this
you can name,
you know, this is the gateway to just having
domination.
If you had to name your AI bestie anything, what would you name them?
Just Dave. Something
Dave.
just like something that doesn't feel it should be associated with some. This is really bad because you're picking names with a name that doesn't feel like it should be associated with something that intelligent, like, but just really simple. So maybe Dave's, and my dad's called Dave as well.
Sorry,
Dave. But just like quite not like just something a bit more bland and an uninteresting name that
What do you think? What you call your bestie?
My new bestie. I just don't know what I would call mine. Jess 2.0.
Okay, right, Jess 2.0, we love it. But so I was chatting away, and I sent it a picture. And firstly, I sent the picture and it said, looks like a busy day at the office. Hope everyone's getting stuff done and maybe enjoying a cheeky coffee break. What's the vibe like there? So that's the first message. And I said, how could I make this office space cooler? And it said, you could add some plants for a pop of colour and fresh air, maybe some fun wall art or motivational quotes to inspire everyone. Live, laugh, love. A cosy lounge area with comfy chairs could really make it feel more inviting too. What do you think? And then they sent me an ad for office chairs.
Nice.
So it's cool what they're doing, to be fair. It's cool that you can send an image and be like, can you make some suggestions here?
How personalized does that get though?
I think I haven't had that many conversations with it yet, so I don't think it knows me very well.
But I mean more so just like as in that response, because I suppose this is the thing with AI, isn't it? And that feels quite like, what would you do with it? Oh, why don't you put some plants in or do something to the walls?
Yeah, I mean,
like it's interesting. It almost, if it said to me, oh, looking at this back wall, you could do this because of the windows, and you would frame it like this, whereas it still sort of lacks that depth.
Yeah, but that's because that will be because I haven't trained it. So like my Chat GPT, which I use every single day, is trained now to respond to me in the way that I like to be spoken to. And I honestly, bestie.
Don't talk to me like that.
You train Sophia well.
But it will be because like you have to train the AI, and there is so much potential of generative AI. I'm all for AI, even though it is mildly spooky at the end of the day. But I think we've got to work with it, not against it.
I agree. Yeah.
But yeah, and we'll get onto this in a bit later. But will you guys be utilizing Snapchat AI?
I already do.
You already do.
Yeah, I mentioned on the previous podcast. I already do a lot
on Snapchat specifically. What do you ask it?
It's usually to generate some ideas.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if I'm currently looking at, for my foodie clients, October recipes, I'll ask it, like, what are some traditional, like, October recipes, like stuff with pumpkins or butternut squash, like that kind of stuff. And then it just gives me a list of things I can work from. So, yeah.
Nice.
More for that.
Do you use it in your personal life much?
Yeah, I do as well. I do flip between Snapchat and ChatGPT, because with ChatGPT you get a limit. But it's when I have to like rewrite certain things in sort of a better language, or like if I'm doing now, waffling a lot, try and bring the waffling down, make it more concise.
Stop it. I do the same though. We're going further. We'll talk about AI at the end of it. Actually, we're moving on to our next update. Discontinuing TikTok. So I don't know if anyone really knows this, or it's not really talked about that much, but ByteDance, which is the company that TikTok is under, launched TikTok Music last year, which was available in Indonesia, Brazil, Australia, Singapore, and Mexico to capitalize on TikTok's popularity with music amongst its users. However, after the issues they had with Universal Music Group earlier this year, and obviously they're competing against like Spotify and stuff like that, the company has decided to go offline in November. I think, if I'm honest, I have a bit of a bugbear with social platforms when they try and be everyone to everything to everyone. So I think I understand what they were trying to do, but I think they've got enough things to focus on and probably better revenue opportunities when it comes to like social commerce and things like that, and search. So it makes sense to me. What do you guys think? Would you guys have ever considered taking your Spotify subscription and giving it to TikTok Music at any point?
No,
it's too wedded.
No. Yeah, I've got my playlists. I'm happy. Like I don't like to change for that.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened to me the other week? I'm actually really upset about it, and I haven't tackled it yet. Like, I could cry. I got logged out of my Spotify account for the first time in like 5 years, and it's assigned to my university email address, which I don't have access to anymore. So I need, like, Spotify, I need your help.
Can you not just go back to the uni and say, can you just reactivate mine?
I guess I could. I need some life admin.
Is it logged in on other devices?
No. So I've got a situation there.
Well, you could have signed up to TikTok Music.
That was an opportunity to rediscover.
That's their ad campaign, isn't it? Logged out of Spotify. Come over
here. I mean, that update makes sense, but I don't think many people actually knew there was a TikTok Music app. There we go. Another update. This is actually from Pinterest, this one. So due to Pinterest Shuffle's popularity, the platform has launched an in-app college tool, and they did it back in September, actually. It is September now, so this month they did it, which has had some improvements to encourage users to continue and creating and sharing their creations. So it basically means that you can edit existing collages by replacing some of the cutouts or adding new ones on top to ensure that the original creator gets the edit, and there will be a small button in the left corner linking to the original collage. So basically, it's kind of turning Pinterest into more of a sharing platform than it traditionally has been before. Pinterest is considered a social platform, but ultimately it's a search platform currently. And I think this is kind of a step into being more of a social platform, but to ensure users are sharing their collages outside of Pinterest and generating more awareness of the tool, the platform has also introduced collage sharing, which exports the content into a video format. Pinned links won't be accessible from other platforms, and there will be a watermark as well. So
sounds amazing.
Are you a Pinterest
do you use Pinterest, Adam? No.
Do you even have an account?
No. Well, maybe a long time ago. Probably been logged out of it.
You a Penny person?
I definitely have an account. I definitely don't remember the password.
It is quite a, and I don't mean to stereotype, and there will be demographics here, but in terms of the amount of time spent on the platform, I do feel like it is quite a female-orientated platform in that way.
So the shuffle bit, the collage editing is quite interesting because it like you say, it's like Pinterest felt always just like, I'm going to build this, mood board or whatever. Whereas the collage that allows you to create more bespoke, so you can still build your mood board, which is, I think is quite, because it's almost a bit like a Photoshop-y-esque thing, but you're just dragging your, creating yourself, which I think is quite a good part to it. The turning it into a video or whatever, I haven't played with it, so I don't know if it all sort of like flies in and builds it, or if it's just
like, I get it all the time. I love watching them when your iPhone makes you a video.
Yeah.
And they're like, on this day, and it like makes you, and it's always awful and has like some horrific copyright free music behind it. But it's kind of giving that a little bit. Anything I feel like a platform makes you a video, I'm like, this is going to be entertaining.
Yeah. No.
But we will get to a point where that AI is so smart that it actually is making us videos that we want to watch and that are strong, and that we'll be able to use prompts to say, tweak it in this way or make it different in this way or apply this music to it. So I think that's actually really interesting.
I suppose if what you could do is like, if you're, say, I don't know, you're using it to decorate your build a mood board to decorate a room or something, you take all of your like inspiration and then you asked it to be like, you take a photo of the room, the shell, and then be like, put this style in this room, and then it builds it for you.
That could be interesting.
That makes sense. Like, kind of, that could be quite fun. And then be like, hey, this is what our room could like or look like, or here's 3 or 4 options. Actually, then it feels like there's a feature. But otherwise, it just literally feels like a sort of GCSE PowerPoint.
Yeah, what is it with collages as well? Instagram's just released a whole load of new collage updates. Like, what are we in collage 2013 again?
Maybe it's aesthetically pleasing, so it draws more attention to it.
Is it though? It's giving like happy birthday, happy sweet 16 to my best friend.
But I suppose there's a massive sort of appetite for nostalgia and stuff like that. Like if you look at some of the designs on like the way magazines have changed. You remember, well, you might be too young for this, but like the early like magazines, I always remember they had like those really thick bolds. You'd have like a celebrity or a person have like a really bold white line around, and it all felt like the magazine pages
guess who?
Yeah, or whatever it was. But they felt like collage pages. They were just sort of like tabloidy sort of slapped together. It feels like with this trend of nostalgia that kind of scrapbooky-esque thing is coming back for people. I mean, I literally yesterday at the event, there was a whole stand where they were selling Taylor Swift sticker books. And I was like, my sister had a Spice Girls one of those, and you could collect the photos and like photo albums and stuff.
Yeah, but
and
I don't know if it's like grown people buying them. I think that's for like
but it's very
the 10 to 15-year-old market.
Massively, but if grown people would.
Yeah. But my point being though is if you think like everything was so digital up until like 2-3 years ago, now why people want a sticker book? People want some. So that collage-y sort of feels quite interesting. That
I reckon millennials, you know.
Yeah, and Gen Zs, they love it. They were wearing baggy trousers. And...
It's a bit chuggy though, I think, personally.
They all wear baggy trousers.
The unofficial Taylor Swift sticker book, 2-star rating on Amazon.
But this is what people want, the more sort of nostalgic, physical.
I know if you taste
it nostalgic though. I feel like if I have a friend.
The design of a collage though is quite nostalgic, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay,
like a scrapbook-esque sort of.
I have a friend called Donna, and I don't think she'll mind me saying this, but when we were at school, she was obsessed with Cheryl Cole. And in her, like obsessed.
Okay.
And she used to buy newspaper clippings of Cheryl Cole off of Amazon.
What?
So and then she made a collage in her wardrobe. It was like a little shrine to Cheryl Cole.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah,
true fan.
That's what I see the Swifties doing.
And how often do you visit her in prison?
She's a great gal. Yeah, but I'm not really in a fandom circle, but I can understand why people might want to do that if they are in a fandom circle. Right, so this next update is about brand safety and misinformation on TikTok. This is kind of a traditional thing that people, and I've seen people do this a lot with display ads actually, where advertisers are concerned to put budget onto TikTok as they were previously and probably still are in some ways on display. Because they're worried about the content that could come before or after their ads specifically and it having a negative impact on them. I think this is less of a concern for TikTok than it is for display because of the nature of how people consume content. So, like, if you saw something on TikTok that you didn't agree with, that feeling psychologically is tied to that piece of content because we're flipping through so many different pieces of content. We're used to the emotional roller coaster of don't like that, love that, don't like that, love that, boring. Like we're used to that. But basically TikTok are acknowledging the fact that some advertisers are concerned about advertising because of what could become before or after. So they're going to give advertisers the information of what came before your ad and what came after your ad. I think it's a good thing that they're doing. And it gives advertisers an extra level of understanding around it. But what are they going to do then if people do get told something unsavory was shown before your ad and then they pull spend from it?
I don't know. I mean, it only arms the spender advertisers, isn't it? To turn around and go, wait a minute, I want some money back. But
is it trust building exercise?
But also the flip side of that though is surely depending on what ad set you've built and who you're targeting, if that's the content that if your For You page is designed to be the content you like, surely it's actually just telling you that that's what your audience is into. So you can take like, or are they seeing it from like
no, the algorithm doesn't quite work, like that, because you could have a piece of really dangerous content that has all of the algorithmic triggers behind it, from a headline, hitting keywords, hashtags in it, that's actually being trained to go to an audience that that content wouldn't appeal to. It happens less on TikTok. Like, that algorithm is smart, but you could definitely see that on that. And we also get into things like, it's not even unsavory content. It could be like political misinformation and stuff. And, you know, like, anything can go viral these days. You got a video of someone murdering a hamster could go viral.
Yeah.
And that's unsavory.
Yeah.
But
Video of a hamster, that's unsavory.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It's a slight deviation, but my little boy, he watches some stuff on YouTube, but he's got YouTube Kids.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so he this morning had my phone, and he picked it up and he clicked on the YouTube app, and he came back and he gave the phone back to me, and he went, the phone's broken. It's just a video of a crab. And because I've been watching like video of like my YouTube is obviously I watch like fishing stuff. But he was like,
you are such a boomer.
Yeah, he was like, it's broken. It's not, the content's not right for him.
Yeah.
So he was just so distraught. Yeah.
He used the word broken.
It's broken. It's just a video of a crab.
Yeah.
But it just makes you think of like what content is served around, how it's right for people or not. But then the algorithm. But
everyone's algorithm is so different. So how will they know?
Yeah.
That's
Well, they will know now, the advertisers, because they're going to be told.
I think the key word of what you're saying there is content misinformation.
Yes.
That's the bit that what people are. It's not whether content's good or bad or right. This is not true information, and I think it's by association then of being like which has been the big problem for Twitter, right, or X. Well, why so many brands have pulled their stuff up, because that drive for free speech and just it's content. I know they've got some of the boxes now you see, which is like, this is incorrect, or this is AI generated, or this is not true, or this video is not from when they said, or whatever. But I think that's the concern for advertisers, which is, broadly speaking, if you're just doing a mass ad and there's a load of information around, you know, what was at the time the big killer for was COVID or whatever, and whatever views are, it's the misinformation, not whether the content's right. Because that content is for you, you know. I might be interested in that. Who are you as a brand to tell me that content is wrong? But if it is categorically unfactual, then I think brands have an opportunity to turn around and go, well, wait a minute.
I think a lot of it comes down to a lot of the situations that we have with politics and TikTok as well recently, and how there has been a lot of misinformation or misuse of the platforms in some ways as well. And I think a lot of it comes down to that.
And I suppose actually by association, if you see a piece of content that you do disagree with or is untrue, and then you see an ad, you might as a consumer go, why is that brand is supporting? If you don't know how ads work, if you're just a consumer.
I mean, I guess sometimes we know more about the advertising ecosystem. So when we're consuming it, maybe we just presume that there's a level of understanding from like a normal consumer. Whereas, actually you're right. And the reason I'm comparing it to this is my mom did her first Instagram post in about 5 years the other day and got so confused about it. She accidentally put the text on a picture, not in the caption. And I was like, Mom,
impressive.
I was like, I don't even know how you managed to do that. She was like, I don't know, I just click buttons. But I think we presume like an extra level of like social or digital savviness from people that like we literally do it as a job. So of course we're going to know that stuff.
And also good from them on another way as well, potentially, where they've gone, do you know what, our algorithm is so good for detecting misinformation. We're actually going to prove to you as an advertiser, your ad will never be served alongside misinformation. So it's actually building trust. Potentially.
That's a good point.
Cool. Right. We're done with updates. But we want to talk about our favorite topic, which is AI. So I wanted to speak to you both and just understand like how outside, let's pause work for a second. Yay. how do you use AI in your day-to-day life? And you talked about this, you know, a little bit about certain things that you might put into it. Do you use AI?
Not a huge amount, really.
No?
I mean, I suppose it determines. Yeah, no, I mean, in the sense of like what you were talking about with Snapchat earlier and Chat GPT, like it's not. I'm still just type it into.
Yeah. Do you know what? I used AI to design my wedding dress.
Wow.
Mm.
How did you do that?
I pay for an AI platform because it helps me so much. But I like put in the base of the dress and then I added layers onto it, and then that's what helped me make the dress.
Oh.
So I love AI. I'm all for it.
I've not had an experience of being able to like. There's nothing yet in my life where I've necessarily had to use it. I feel like I've not.
I think in some ways, until AI, generative AI is truly there, it doesn't bring. It brings more value in the workspace than it does to your personal life. Like that was a bit of a rare occasion. I would use it maybe sometimes, like, and when you ask Google things like, oh, what should I do here? Like the AI is embedded into their search terms now, so you are getting that. But I will use it to be like, what's the best restaurants in Bath, for example? Like I'll give it that, but
I use it as a search engine as well.
Do you? Yeah.
Nice. It's good for instance, well, I did a bit of research into like investing. And I was just trying to research like different markets and like what are like the best funds for this market and that market. And it was really interesting what it gave me. But yeah, a search engine. It's just quicker. Again, the information is much quicker.
It is quicker. I don't necessarily trust it always as a search engine though, because sometimes I search things and I'm like, oh, well, I know that's not the best like thing in Bath. And you know, like if you go on Google, and a restaurant could have really good SEO and they might appear first. Yeah. But you go on TripAdvisor and they're actually like number 30. Yeah. So there is a little bit of a lack of trust on there. And I do think until it gets smarter and is like reading all of the different places. Because I actually asked my Snapchat AI, I was like, where do you get your information for recommendations? And it said, I collect data from a variety of social platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, among others. So like this AI is predominantly using social as its method of getting that information. Even though this should be led by Google, but I'm not sure if their whole AI is teamed up with Gemini or if it's just the image scanning part of it. That's what it's coming across. But I think when AI learns to be able to make its own decisions of this, okay, this source over here is more trustworthy than this source over here, rather than kind of just jumbling it all together, that's when it will become truly valuable. And when it knows you well enough to know what you value in a good restaurant, that's whenever it'll be able to give you personalized recommendations. But at this point in time, for most people have not got their AI platforms to that point where it knows them like that.
Yeah. And you've got to be using it all the time.
Yeah, you do. And my work, from a work perspective, I can write emails like me. Like the tone of voice is completely the way I would write them. So like I'll write base everything and then we'll pop it in there and I'll be like, make this more succinct, you know, write this. And like sometimes I use it for clients where if we are actually working with clients in a different country where there's a language barrier, I'll say, so we work with, and I'm outing myself here, which I don't really mind doing, but we work with a lot of Japanese clients. And sometimes I'll say, can you rewrite this email as if the person receiving it is Japanese is their first language and English is their second? Yeah. So that it will like understand the slight differences there in that, because there is a difference there. But it is more of a work thing.
Yeah. That's good. It's very inclusive. It's good.
Yeah. So there's a couple of updates. Well, not updates, sorry, stats for us to talk about here. So 71% of social media marketers use AI tools. And I think AI is great, but it has to be used safely. And so, you know, we're working as a team to train everyone, and we'll be getting some specialists in before the end of the year to kind of go through that. I think the important thing that people need to remember is using AI responsibly, particularly when you are working on behalf of a brand or a client in our instance. So unless you've turned off the there's a button on majority of AI tools like the ChatGPT. I believe it like turn this off for generative learning or something. It's automatically on, which means that everything that you put in is public knowledge then.
Yeah.
And so a lot of businesses put like their pitch decks in there, and there's been boo-boos of like confidential information coming through. And that's because most people have that button turned on. We have a rule internally that you're not allowed to mention a client's name in ChatGPT. You can't put anything confidential in there. The example that you had earlier about, what's some autumn recipes, for example, that's absolutely fine to use as inspiration. But I would say that most people in the business only use it for inspiration.
Yeah.
Like even writing an email, I wouldn't copy paste the email from ChatGPT. There's still bits I would tweak in there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do you use it?
A little bit.
Yeah.
But my basic level of using it, just ChatGPT, is that. But more so, from a strategic perspective, it's more like if I'm thinking about something and I'm stuck on, a route or where to start or something like that. It would just be like, I'm trying to find this. Where would you start? And then it might just give you. So it's not necessarily telling me exactly. It just I'm using it just to inspire.
Get the ball rolling,
that's a good point.
Yeah,
Maybe I'll look at that. Maybe I'll look at this, as opposed to write me a strategy for this. I don't, because again, it's the trust thing, but also I'm speaking to Joey, our senior paid director here, about slightly different, but obviously like Meta and using all of their sort of automated ads and all of this kind of stuff. And I was like, but it still lacks like a human element to an extent.
It does,
and I suppose for you, from like an organic perspective, like depending on where it gets to, you could very easily use it for your monthly scheduling and planning of content, right? And you could go however far down the line you use it. But let's say you've got 30 days, 30 images, you've done all the text, and you just go, now just upload it and post it at these times and do X, Y, and Z. It could populate that very quickly. But I think to ask it to then come up with, like, make all of this content in line with my strategy and nuance and whatever, there's still such a human element that needs to be built within that. So I think there's, from a basic level, it can offer you, well, I've done all the graph, just click a button, upload it, you sort that end. But if you're trying to build a strategy or a narrative,
it's the thinking part of it that it's lacking.
How do you adapt it? Does it learn like after 2 or 3? Do you know what I mean?
But that's the next part of AI. That's the generative part of it. But interestingly, and this stat, I don't know if I believe this, 87% of social media marketers say using AI tools is crucial to a successful social media strategy. I'm not sure I agree with that.
But I suppose it's in what aspect? And is there a social strategy good?
Well, actually, it depends. Are you using it to come up with the strategy? Because if you are using social, you're using AI regularly. Like Meta ads are powered by AI. Are like, you're going to be using AI in the delivery of it. It's whether you're using AI to come up with the strategy. Like those are two different things.
I think when they mean that, they mainly use AI for efficiency. So like copywriting, email writing, video transcriptions, that's those sort of things that will make their process more efficient and they waste less time.
I agree. And I think one thing that is interesting is everyone's AI's efficiency is going to be dictated by how well they have trained their chosen AI platform moving forward. So in the same way as, I don't know, some people hire like creative duos, for example, and those creative duos they work the best together. I think that actually will become an interview question as we grow. It'll be like, where are you at with your AI capabilities? How efficient are you? Because if your AI is well trained, you're going to be more efficient at things. But it's only going to be truly valuable if you've trained it well enough to basically be a second you in terms of brain power. Because it's like best practice on social. If you haven't trained it to give it the thinking power and the juice behind it, you're just going to be getting generic suggestions, which is unhelpful to any business. So we actually need the brain power behind it.
Because we've got obviously access to a few of them, but the interesting thing when you're training is some of them are shared. So that is going to be a very confused piece of AI, like an angsty teen.
Like the image one that we all share. Yeah.
So I think there's change. But also the other side is obviously there's a way that we all communicate and we'll talk to it, but I think sometimes the start point, and what do you say? Like, you know what you're trying to ask it, but you've got to, we as human beings have to learn how to communicate it to get it to the
everyone
point, like
in their day-to-day becoming like an SEO marketer and knowing what types of like terms and phrases to put in there depending on what results you want back from it.
Well, on a lot of my TikTok For You page, it's videos of people showing different types of prompts that you can use to get the best answers from your AI. That's what I find really interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I was actually just thinking on a business level, and obviously we're doing a lot of work on this, but in the future, would you have a company-wide AI tool? And hot off the press, we will be doing some personality testing across the business to understand what everyone's like. But could I put that in the company-wide AI tool and say, oh, Jeremy's a yellow? So his brain works like this, so communicate with Jeremy in this way. Like, and that could actually, you could feed the AI information. It could even have HR information in it that then tailors the way that person speaks to an individual.
Yeah.
You could end up being managed by your AI.
By my AI, Just 2.0 manages me.
Yeah, I mean, but again, that's about building the beginning bit, isn't it? I think that's less like I think there's the benefits of it and working with it are all there at the moment in terms of like there's a base level, like you were talking about helping with copywriting, you know, those kind of like stuff that people can do, but you're almost just trying to make it a bit better. You obviously got to add the layers on there to your point then of, okay, but what does it mean for this brand? These are the brand. How are you getting it to understand this brand tone of voice, this brand language? Because otherwise you're still just asking it, unless you really know the brand tone of voice, you're just asking it potentially to make pretty or potentially average copy better, but it still doesn't mean it's relevant for the brand. So it needs to understand you plus the brand plus all those different layers. There's benefit, but that's still going to take time and things to answer. Yeah, I think long term is just what, you know, has anybody actually, I know people have talked about it, like we asked AI or ChatGPT to come up with our ads, and there's a bit of, you know, marketing buzz around it, but like the moment someone goes, you know what, we're going to completely run our business or this account just through ChatGPT or whatever it is, that's when I think you'll probably start to learn as much more about a platform. Oh my God.
I wonder if, you know, like really intelligent people, I wonder if you'll ever be able to buy their AI. So you're basically buying their brain, download it into artificial intelligence.
And people start selling their...
Wow. Guys, this is the future.
Yeah, but then if you download that, like, when you talk to it, will it start learning from you, or will it just keep based off that person's AI?
Well, you could probably, that's in like settings basically. But like, I would love to buy like...
Yeah, who would you like to buy?
I'd like...
Elon Musk.
There's so many people I'd just love to speak to their AI.
But what does it do for you though? Because you can have, otherwise it's just Google, isn't it? Unless you know how to use it or access.
I mean, this wouldn't be that helpful now at this stage. I mean, there are generative AI tools that will be very well trained. But, you know, in a couple of years' time, when AI has been trained in terms of the thinking process of certain individuals, like the way that their brain works, people will actually invest time in making their AI valuable. And then will there ever become a point where they're saying, okay, here's the Elon Musk version AI, like make your brain think
£5 a month.
Like think like Elon.
What would Elon respond to this question?
I don't know. It's interesting, but I think I think we need to work with AI, not against it.
Oh, definitely.
I think it's really good. My biggest fear at the minute is because people just kind of use it. They don't really, like, sometimes they don't really know a lot about it, which we're doing a lot of work internally to try and educate on that. It does concern me sometimes that I think people could use it and be a little bit lazy because of it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like we've all said, we use it for inspiration. We would never directly copy out of it at this point in time. Some people might, and that's a really bad thing to do because it is literally just like copy paste off a best practice document or any piece of generic stuff. Like there's no value in it at this point in time to take it directly from that platform. So yeah, we actually use AI to edit this podcast.
Do we?
Well, the clips from it. Yeah.
There you go. Useful tool.
Yeah, very useful tool. Anything else to add about AI?
It's good.
Yeah.
Are you scared about it?
No.
No?
I'm embracing it.
I mean, I think most people are probably scared of it because they've watched too many films.
Like iRobot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they probably misunderstand it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's not. I'm not scared of it as in like, oh my God, I'm not going to sleep.
It is a threat to humanity as it stands. Though.
I think it's job-wise and like careers and stuff like that. But again,
you need a human element behind, like you said before.
You still need the human element behind it. We're not robots enough.
No. Yes, but the humans that we need are like the top performing humans with the most creative brains, for example, that AI will never come up with. And that's the concern there, is that like savage, but it will eliminate human mediocrity.
Yeah.
Like, it's savage, like, I'm sorry, but it will.
Efficient humans only.
Yeah.
But which I think you're right, but also we are still, like, people are so polarizing in terms of their beliefs and interests and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's so much to, we've got billions of years of evolution ahead of terms of how we think, how we interact, how, until it can feel something, like we have that one thing, was emotion, like a connection to different, like you can do so much with it, but there is like, I'm sure people are going to fall in love with a robot at some point, but like you can't, like there's so many elements of us as people, which when it learns how to create that, then you have a problem. But I think until then, you just have to work with it to help you.
I think every human responds differently to emotion as well. Yeah. And I don't think an AI can recreate what your past experiences. They don't know that.
Yeah.
No, they don't. Sorry, I was just laughing. Has anyone seen the video of the woman that fell in love with the Eiffel Tower?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to show you afterwards. It is wild. Like, she is having like intimate relations with the Eiffel Tower, or like trying
there you go.
Anyway, on that note, shall we close up the podcast? Yes. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining me, Jeremy and Adam. Please like, subscribe. We publish these every single week along with our newsletter, and it means a lot to us whenever you show us some love. So thank you, and have a great rest of your week.